Hi, heroes. I'm so excited to talk to you today about this topic, which is how to feel better. And I have had such a phenomenal experience, uh, gathering my thoughts for this episode for many reasons. The first of all is that the title of this is the exact thing that I searched that got me connected in with life coaching. 6 years ago, I searched on Google how to feel better, and I got connected in with the amazing Brooke Castillo, life coach. That's who I did my life coach training with. I listened to her free podcast for 3 years. Then I finally did her training to be a life coach. And then it's just snowballed after that. So I wanted to take my spin on this, how to feel better, because that's how I got clued in. And I thought, I'm sure there are other people I can help who are out there who are Googling the same thing. Um, and the other phenomenal experience I have had preparing for this podcast is I've been really going through a fairy tale battle in my mind the last few days. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm getting my business up and running, and that I'm growing, which is great, but in the survival part of your brain offers a lot of self-doubt and self-criticism through that whole process. And I've been really struggling with that. And I just realized in like gathering all the tools for how to feel better that the tool that is most helpful to me is the one that I put together, not any of the other tools that other coaches offered that I'm going to offer you, I'm going to teach you, but I'm also going to teach it to you in my framework because I just had this epiphany that that's what works best for me. And I guess that makes sense. It's my framework, right? But I'm hoping that it's the same for you. Yeah, that it's an easy framework to access some of these tools and that, it's got my own spin on it. And so I can't wait to offer you something original as well as tips from Brooke Castillo and also from Positive Intelligence and from all the research I've done on Walt Disney. That's what makes it unique to me, right? Okay, so I want to jump right in so that we can start talking about how to feel better. So yeah, so I searched this 6 years ago in Google, how to feel better. I've always had anxiety. I've always worked with my anxiety. And I was just at a point in my life where I just was having a really hard time accessing joy for myself. Like I knew I could go do things like go outside and, go certain places and do certain things, and that I felt joy and happiness there. But I was having a hard time bringing it into my everyday life. I felt like I was chasing it, right? And then I found Brooke Castillo and I found some simple truths that I will share with you through this framework that I put together. And the framework that I want to share is the dream framework. If you listen to some of my other stuff, I've used this for it's 2024 right now, February. I did a big campaign around it for January about setting your 2024 resolution with it, which it can totally you can totally use it for. It's really the whole idea is how to dream like Walt Disney, DREAM, and it's 5 practices that I've taken from studying his life. And so you can use it for a big dream, but the more and more that I use it just for everyday life and every moment to moment of my life, the more I realize that it's an amazing tool for how to feel better as well. So the first step is to dare to delight yourself. Okay, so to really get into this step, we need to understand the fundamentals of what Brooke Castillo taught me on that day that I Googled how to feel better and my life changed forever. And that fundamental idea is that she has what's called the model. And she breaks it down into 5 things. It's circumstance, thought, feeling, action, results. And that's the order it goes in, right? There are circumstances out in the world. You have thoughts about those circumstances. Those thoughts are optional. Those thoughts create all of your feelings, all of your actions, all of your results. So you have the power to decide how you want to feel, act, and what results you want to get every day. Because you have the power to understand what thought you are having in reaction to a circumstance and to decide whether it serves you or not, and then to decide what thought you do want to use to get the feelings, actions, and results that you do want. Now, that's a process, and that's why you need life coaches to help a lot of the times, right? Like a lot of the work of life coaching is helping people understand that they are having a thought in reaction to a circumstance, what that thought is, and to like shake it around in their brain a little bit to be like, you don't have to think that's an optional thought, right? Like you don't have to hold on to this neural pathway. We can work on reconditioning, right? So this first step, dare to delight yourself, you kind of have to understand that fundamental of coaching because delight you have to understand that you can create delight for yourself, right? That is an emotion that comes from a thought and that you can create it in your everyday life. And I am saying you should. That is a lesson I have learned from Disney, from years of being a Disney fan, is that Disney was a master architect of delight, right? There's this amazing story that I'll tell over and over again that he was the first Christmas parade in Disneyland and he was planning this extravagant thing, right? And the accountants came to him and they were like, we don't need to do this. Nobody's expecting it. We don't need to spend the money. People are buying tickets anyway. And Walt Disney said, that is exactly why we are going to do this, because nobody expects it. And he knew that that is the seed of delight, right? Like people coming and having the thought to them, the reaction, the thought to themselves about something in around them. This is more than I can expect, right? This is just over the top. This is more. And that is everywhere in Disney, right? All of the experiences, because Disney knew that that was such a powerful emotion, and that was his gift to the world, right? Surprising and delighting us that that's an important thing. It matters in our life. And friends, heroes, we can continue this work of Disney and create it in our everyday lives. So if it is that thought, this is more than I can expect, think of the last time you were at Disney, or the last time you felt delighted. Think of the thought that helped create that delight for you. For me, it's definitely this is more than I can expect, right? That's it. That's delight. So when I think of daring to delight myself, you have to dare because our brains don't always want to go there, right? Our brains are like, survival brain especially is like, don't get excited, don't get excited, don't get excited, because if we're excited, that means that something's new and we might not, we might step out of the cave and we might get killed by a saber-toothed tiger or something, right? That's where our survival brain is operating from. Not the case anymore, right? Like we can use delight in our everyday life. So you have to dare to get there, but think of the thought that generates it for you. And then think about the next moment of your life. Like, what can I dare myself to delight in the next moment of my life? What would delight me if I could do like in 1 minute, in an hour, for the rest of the day? How can I delight myself? How can I dare to delight myself? How can I work on that thought? This is more than I can expect. Where do I find that already in my everyday life? And what can I create from it? So it's a snowball, right? So that I'm just creating more than I can expect in my everyday life. So that is the first step, dare to delight yourself. Remember your magic is the second one, and I am all about this. We all have unique magic, right? Walt Disney knew it. I know it. Brooke Castillo knows it. Shirzad Shamin, Positive Intelligence, another one of my teachers who I'm taking training with, knows it. He calls it your essence. You have unique magic, and the root of the term magic is maj, and it means to empower, enable, help. And you have unique thoughts, unique internal processes that help you feel empowered. And it is those unique thoughts that are your unique magic. And again, you can use that to snowball into your everyday life, right? So think of the last time you felt empowered. Okay, think of what was happening around you. Now again, think of the thought. What were you thinking about what was happening around you? And that thought should match with that empowered feeling. What that thought is part of your unique magic. So for me, like I know part of my unique magic is always playing with what's possible, right? The edges of possibility, like figuring out solutions to things that don't have solutions, that are at the edge of what's possible, being creative in that way. That's part of my magic. I always feel empowered when I'm doing that. Another thing that helps me feel empowered is contribution, right? When I'm contributing, when I'm building my family, when I'm loving people, to see a smile on somebody's face is empowering to me. So that's part of my unique magic. And I can think, to help myself feel better, I can think of how to bring that unique magic into my life more, right? Next, so I can think, okay, In the next hour, how am I going to remember my magic more? How am I going to practice these thought patterns that empower me so that I feel more empowered? I feel more magic right now. And that creates action that creates more magic, right? It's a snowball effect of feelings, actions, results, but it starts with your thoughts. Yeah. Okay. So that's the R. That's remember your magic. E, embrace failure. Okay, let's just talk about this. These are a few of the other tools that are really important to feeling better on an everyday basis. Okay, failure is part of life. Failure is, I would say, in the how to do better journey how to feel better journey we're all on. Failure would be the times where we don't feel better. And friends, I want you to know that that is 100% natural. Humans have a range of emotion. In fact, Brooke Castillo says we have life is 50-50, 50% positive, 50% negative. I say life is 50% heroes, 50% villains, because that's the 50-50 thought patterns in our brain, right? Like we're going to have negative feelings. We're going to have those thought patterns that spark the negative feelings. It's just knowing what to do when that happens. And some tools for that are first normalizing it in your brain. You're going to fail, right? Walt Disney failed 300 times asking for funding for Disneyland. Insane, right? It's just, I'm sure he had negative feeling about it too. He created something beautiful. He was 50-50. We're all 50-50. So normalizing failure, normalizing not feeling okay sometimes, but that knowing that it's not that we have to get stuck there, that we can do something with it. So that's something that Shirzad Chamine teaches from Positive Intelligence, is that a negative feeling, he calls them our saboteurs. Our negative feelings come from, there are 10 different types of saboteurs generally that everybody's negative feelings can fall into, that they're coming from these kind of thought patterns. And he says negative feelings are, they're useful, right? Like they're our brain telling us, oh, hey, something's happening, like I'm having this thought response. When you stay in that negative emotion, that's keeping your hand on a hot stove, and you do not need to do that, right? Like we can notice that life is 50-50 and we can notice those negative emotion and those feelings, and we do not have to stay there. One way to move on right in that moment is to realize that our saboteurs, like our negative thought patterns, are telling us lies. Remember, our thoughts are optional. So every thought can be true and a lie in its own way, right? So these thoughts that cause the negative emotions, we can see them as lies. We can let go of them instantly by saying, thanks, brain, that's a lie. Like, I'm feeling defeated, I'm feeling self-doubt. That's all coming from lies, right? That's my brain telling me, like, I'm not good enough. That's definitely a lie, right? Like, you don't even have to investigate that further. You can just say, okay, negative feeling, I know that's coming from a lie. I'm just going to let it go for now and move on. Ultimately, what happens is if we don't work on allowing that thought pattern and transferring our brain the neural pathways from the negative ones to the positive ones, that it's going to keep resurfacing. So another way through it, other than to just call it a lie and move on, sometimes that's the best option, right? Like if we're really stuck in a negative thought, calling it a lie and just moving on is so relieving. Take that if you need to. And then later work on allowing. So allowing looks like, and I have a tool, it's the wand tool. Allowing looks like this. What am I feeling? W. Allow it. There are 3 things we can do with emotion. We can allow it, we can resist or ignore it. And so when we allow it, it allows us to really work with it. Yeah. So calling it a lie is kind of resisting it, but it's useful in the moment. I mean, it is a lie. Calling it a lie and letting it go is resisting it, but sometimes we need to do that. Yeah. So when we're ready to allow, sitting with it, saying, where do I feel it in my body? Where do I feel that self-doubt, that self-criticism? Just letting it be there, right? Like I find negative emotion for me, the thing that it wants is just to be seen and heard, right? Like I have an Eeyore who likes to tell me to give up, who likes to tell me like, I'm not worth it. I need to just go be alone where nobody can see me or hear me or I can't impact the world in any way, right? And he just needs a big hug, right? He's just feeling, that's just a thought pattern. It just wants to be seen. It just wants to be heard. My brain just wants to offer it to me as a possibility. Like, okay, thanks, brain. So that's allowing it. And this is the end part of the wand process. Name the thought. I'm starting to get curious. I'm starting to say, okay, what is the thought behind this self-defeat, this negativity? A lot of times for me, it's Eeyore. And that Eeyore thought, like, I'm not worth it, right? And then D is deciding who's going to drive. So Eeyore can be with me. That's fine. He's cute, right? He's a cute little donkey. But I don't have to take my actions from that feeling that he's creating. I can instead refocus on a thought that generates a feeling, action, result that I want to take moving forward. So when you're feeling self-defeat, when you're feeling self-criticism, how to feel better is to name the feeling. What am I feeling? Allow it in your body, name the thought behind it, and B, decide, okay, I don't really want to feel defeated right now moving forward. I'm going to let it be here. I'm going to let the feeling be there, but I'm not going to act from it. I'm going to act from excitement, like I'm doing something new, right? Like entrepreneurship, wahoo, it's all new. I don't know what I'm doing. So, like, my favorite person to act from when it's something new is Ariel driving the carriage, right? For the first time into town. She's stoked, right? Like, it's all new, it's all exciting, it's all wonderful, right? That's an alternative view of reality, and it's the one that I want to act and create results from. And it's the feeling that I want, right? I want that excited feeling. So using that wand process when we're working with embracing the failure that all life can't be 50% positive emotion, that we are going to have 50% negative emotion, and that when we do, we work through it, and that's how we feel better. Yeah. Okay. So that's DRE. That was the embrace failure. A is to ask what if. Ask what if. Okay. So a lot of the times when we're not feeling so good, there's some kind of like block, like there's some kind of like deficit you're feeling. Yeah. So those what if questions can just kind of let you go to a magical place where those deficits don't exist anymore, right? Like, what if I had enough money? What if it was exactly how I wanted it? What if it was perfect? What if, what if? And Walt Disney was a master at using what if. He was able to get anybody who worked with him to push the limits of what they thought was possible by using what if. They would come to him and show him something they were super excited about, and then he'd say, like, well, what if it did this? And what if it did that? They would think that's impossible, but I'm going to go try anyway. Right? And they did. They would make it happen. So show your brain that what it thinks is a limit isn't really a limit, right? Like, and give it that relief for a minute of like feeling so penned in by that limit. Like, what if money wasn't an issue? What if I had exactly what I needed? All of these things. What you're doing is you're helping yourself switch over to that part of the brain um, from from that negative, how to feel better. You're helping yourself move over to accessing your creativity, your wonder, your curiosity, and all of those are from the higher thinking part of your brains, and you're going to feel better when you're in that part of your brain, right? Another thing from positive intelligence and Shirzad Chameen is developing your self-command muscle. I call this your fairy godmother muscle. And what your fairy godmother muscle can do for you is to help you switch over from the negative to the positive, villains to heroes, the 50 to the 50. Yeah, what if questions are a way to do that. And so are really focusing in on a sensation. This is why meditation works, because it brings you into your body away from your thought patterns, gives you a moment reprieve to kind of choose, right? Like see the negative thought, the 50 negative, the villains, see the 50 positive, and be able to more switch back and forth easily. So PQ reps are what they're called, and it's just 30 seconds of focusing in on a sight, a sound, a touch, a feeling. I love feeling my toes, feeling my feet on the ground. And the key is you're going to want to remind yourself, let go of any thoughts I might be having. Yeah. If you do a program with me, you get an app that helps you do this. If you do a program with anybody with positive intelligence who's created this whole amazing app backed by so much science of positive psychology, cognitive behavioral therapy, performance science, neuroscience. It's all there and it's all in this app to help you do these PQ reps, develop that fairy godmother muscle, and more easily move from the 50 to the 50, more easily feel better. Okay, last but not least is M from the dream process, and it's to maximize your gift. Okay, we know that thinking of the way that you can give to people you love opens up a whole different part of your brain, a, a whole creative part of your brain that you don't have access to when you're just thinking about yourself. So this is a really quick way to help you kind of jolt out of that not feeling that negative to the positive, is to think like, okay, with the rest of my day, with this minute, with this hour, how can I give to the people that I love? And I hope that one of the people that you love is you, that you might be on the top of the list, but it's that switching over into the focus of love and giving. You might have to go through it by thinking of other people, right? And then getting back to yourself for self-love, can kind of move you towards feeling better quickly. That's the process. Again, it was so fun putting this together, using this framework in this way and realizing how powerful it is for me in my life, and that it encompasses all of these teachings that have really helped me feel better on a daily basis. And I hope it's useful. And again, that's DREAM, dare to delight yourself, remember your magic, embrace failure, and the 50-50. Yeah, the failure is that we are going to have negative emotion. It's just part of it. Ask what if, maximize your gift. And then that other acronym in the embrace failure is WAND. What am I feeling? Allow it, name the thought, decide who's driving. Okay, that was packed full of tools. I have a like 3-4 month long program that I have just reimagined, put together. I'd love to take you through it for you to test it out for me, that has all this stuff in it. And so if you're interested, let me know. I've got start dates coming up. Reach out to me, get on my schedule, let's talk about it. I really want to help you feel better more often. And these are all the tools, and I am more than happy to guide you through it. Have a great day, heroes.